And on a personal level, compared to where I first started, you know, in a very, very bad spot, man,
Yeah.
very bad spot. And then to come to fruition today, I ran a 10K this morning, man. I ran 6.1 miles in less than an hour. And this is the same guy that was walking around the neighborhood at 4 in the morning, just trying to clear his head and just trying to find peace and just trying to feel good about himself.
Welcome to the Nick Speaks podcast, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for the disabled community. Tune in every Tuesday, and don't forget to subscribe. And now your host, Nicholas Comstock.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. I am your host, Nick Comstock. You guys, I am so glad that you're joining me on this Tuesday, and I hope everyone is doing well. I know I'm getting excited because it's finally warming up here in the crazy Midwest. And you guys, today I have an amazing guest with me. I have an assistive technology rep who does everything from wheelchairs to insurances. He goes into nursing homes, and he's also the host of a podcast that I was recently on called the Wheelchair Roundtable. And I'll put that in the show notes so you guys can go check it out. We had an awesome conversation. Please help me welcome Rico Segovia to the program. How are you, Rico?
Hey, Nick, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your show, my friend. Thank
Thank you
you.
for being here. I appreciate it. So, Rico, why don't you, before we get into questions and having all kinds of fun, why don't you tell everybody who you are and kind of what you do and
Sure.
what you are in the disability world?
Absolutely. So my name is Rico Segovia, and I am an ATP, an assistive technology professional. And basically what I do is I design and build custom medical equipment for handicapped children and adults. I'm also the host of the Wheelchair Roundtable. We are a podcast that, we put stories out there, of people overcoming obstacles and disability, in the wheelchair world. So yeah, that's what I do, man.
Yeah, I was just on your podcast last week. It's your most recent episode, and I don't listen to the stuff that I do because I hate hearing the sound of my own voice.
Nick, it is a solid episode. We've gotten such really good feedback from our listeners, especially some of the clinicians who are listening loyally, our therapists, our physicians, our case management, and also some of the wheelchair basketball team that listens to the podcast. And we've gotten some really good feedback on it, man. And then, talking to my co-host, the Quad Father, and hopefully you'll have him on your show too.
Yeah,
He really enjoyed it, man. I mean, he called it one of his favorite episodes. So
I
we are very proud of that episode.
I love it, and
You should.
maybe
You
I'll
you keep It was great. You were great, man.
maybe I'll choke it down and listen to. And I say choke it down because it's my voice, not anything you guys
Mm.
do.
Yeah, you-
I don't like hearing the sound of my own voice. I don't know what it is. That's why I
uh,
don't watch my podcast very much either. Uh,
um,
I
you were great. You were great, my friend. You were
do what
great.
I have to do. I love the fact you are the first assistive technology rep that I've had on the program. I've tried to get um some that I've worked with personally on the program, and it just hasn't worked out. But I am so glad you're based in Texas,
Yep.
which is another big thing because I've heard that the benefits in Texas are not so great. So we're going to talk about that and everything else. Why don't you talk about how you got started in the disability world, and then we'll go from there and ask some questions and have a good time.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. So, this goes back into the 90s. So in 1997, I started working in a pharmacy, and while I was working in the pharmacy, I was a pharmacy technician. So I would do all the prescription stuff. And at that time, the owner of the pharmacy had asked me if I knew anything about medical equipment, and I said, "No, I don't, really don't." So he said, "Let's go ahead and look into it." So he invested in some classes. I went to med trade shows. I went to different expos, different trainings, just to get an idea of how the medical equipment process started. And when this started, we started off doing hospital beds, diabetic supplies, incontinence supplies. You're very basic, what they call DME, durable medical
Right.
equipment.
Hmm.
And to touch base on that, at that same pharmacy is where I met Danny Flores, who is the quad father, who is the co-host on my show. He was 19 years
Yeah.
old. He had just graduated high school and he was doing the delivery. Um, he was doing all the medication delivery. So I knew there was a niche for complex rehab. And in this industry, if there is no school or any type of education that you can get, it's your last career where you learn on the job pretty much. And then I started learning about seating positioning, and I started learning about motorized wheelchairs. I started learning about custom manual wheelchairs. And at that time at the pharmacy, I had already capped out as far as how far they wanted to go along as far as exploring rehab. So I got hired by another company, Professional Medical Technologies Incorporated, and they were a true complex rehab company. So I went to go work for them, and really quick, I learned I did not know much about rehab. Luckily for me, there was a gentleman there by the name of Robert Regino who, he was very difficult. But once he found out that I was interested in rehab, he took me under his wing and he started explaining things. And at that point, the owner of that company has sent me off to a lot of different training. So I started understanding rehab. And this was back like in 2002 when I started learning rehab. So yeah, I got into it in 2002. Um, Fast forward in 2005, I partnered up with a friend of mine and we started up MediQuip Mobility, which was a local rehab company. And we were doing rehab. We were just doing your standard motorized wheelchairs, standard manual wheelchairs, nothing really complex. It wasn't until 2011 when I sat for my ATP exam. At that point, the insurances came and said, especially Texas Medicaid, saying if you're not an ATP, you're not going to be able to do any complex rehab, which I thought at the time was not fair. But looking back at it, I'm so glad it happened because it
Right.
finally set a standard for us for accountability. You didn't have any small little companies opening up, putting out complex rehab, and they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
So I sat for my exam. I passed it on the first try. Thank you, Jesus. And shortly after, I was recruited to go work in Houston, Texas. In Houston, I worked for National Seating and Mobility, Branch 4 in Houston. So shout out to Branch 4 in Houston.
Yeah.
Really, really quick, I learned I did not know much. There were some senior ATPs there that were working clinics. So I was just working smaller clinics, but I got exposed to complex rehab. And what I mean by exposed, I had access to a lot of manufacturer reps, training, equipment, and National Seating is a great company to work for. If you're an ATP, I recommend National Seating.
Yeah. They're a good
They're
company.
great. I'm sorry?
They're a good company. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I have
I love
my
them.
I have my shower chair through them, and they're a decent company. I like them. So
Yeah, I love them a lot. I love them. They're a great company. Nothing but great things to say about my time with National Seating. But in 2016, Invacare recruited me to work as the rehab specialist. So at that time, Invacare had gone under a consent decree, which meaning they could no longer do any type of custom medical equipment. And prior to that, Invacare was the staple. They were the ones that were the standard for complex rehab. So
yeah.
they relaunched the whole rehab division. They hired ATPs and therapists, and I got on board and I got trained up to be the territory um, rep in the Houston market, which allowed me to work wheelchair clinics at Memorial Hermann Tier, St. Luke's Hospital, Methodist Hospital. My partner, Michael Duenas, was able to do Texas Children's Hospital with all the PennDOT molding, Tideway in Galveston, UTMB in Galveston, just to name a few. So I got exposed to and then the opportunity to work with a lot of good complex rehab um, therapists. So I really want to say thank you to the therapists that took the time to work with me because I
Yeah.
learned so much from them.
Good
Mm,
really helps. Good training really helps.
mhm.
I
Yeah.
want I want to ask you this. So did you ever picture yourself working in the disability world, or did you just kind of fall into this?
I had this conversation with on episode 1 with my former co-host Roland. He's also an ATP, and I think the career called to me. I think everything just lined up right, and I don't consider that I have a job. I love what I do. I love helping, making a difference. And I've been able to grow with the industry, seeing the changes in technology, the changes in equipment, the changes in regulations, the changes in insurance coverage. So I've got a pretty good appreciation for it. So I think the career called to me, um, and it's just such a rewarding career, and it's such a rewarding profession. Being able to make a difference in somebody else's lives,
Yeah.
it's just rewarding. I love it.
Yeah, they say, I think Steve Jobs is the one that actually coined the phrase, if you love what you do, you'll never go to work a day in your life. And
It's right there.
um I'm so glad to hear that you love what you do. I love what I do, podcasting, getting to meet people like you, Danny, who will come on the show hopefully within the next couple of weeks, and just different things. Did you grow up around people with disabilities? How did that shape what you do now? If you did.
No, I was thinking about that. Did I have anybody? No, I didn't. Um, did anybody with a disability that I can really bank on in a certain experience? It was mostly when I first started into the career working in the pharmacy, hearing stories of people, not being able to walk and people having challenges and, the fights they had to through to get equipment approved, their quality of life, how everything just changed for them. So that's when I first started experiencing and having a true appreciation for what a person with a disability has to go through, but not so much go through, but what they have to overcome, the challenges and,
Yeah,
sometimes the lack of support, but they get it done. They get it done.
we do.
So,
We do.
mhm.
One of the things that I find so frustrating as a wheelchair user and a person with a disability is that, everybody around us thinks that we're fragile. And I'm just like, you know, we have a disability for a reason. If God thought you could handle it, you would have a disability. So, just back off, kind of like that whole thing. And we're not fragile. You can't be fragile and have all the stuff that we do. Having a disability is like having a full-time job. Somebody asked me in my conference the other day, they said, I want to know about your hobbies. I want to know, well, what you like to do. And I'm like, I spend half my time just trying to get out of bed in the morning and get through the pain that I have every day. Hobbies. So,
Mm.
it's crazy. Um, so I want to talk with you, Rico, a little bit about last week's episode, and we talked about this a little bit off air, and I know you haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I've shared with you and the issue that I've encountered getting the most smart 150 portable patient electric lift.
Oh, yeah.
And I I did a whole episode on this last week, and I would encourage those of you that haven't listened to it, please go listen to it. I would love to hear your feedback. So my issue is that I need a portable patient electric lift so that I can go to doctor's appointments, so that I can get a sleep apnea study redone that I need to have redone, so that I can also travel and do my public speaking career and all that stuff. Now, I know that you can't put in a medical request and say he wants this for travel, because they're not going to pay for that. Um, but the issue that I'm having is Medicaid says the type of lift that I have is covered, and they says DME companies must provide it, but a lot of them won't. In fact, most of them that my case manager and I've called won't provide it because of the Medicaid reimbursement rates are too low. They won't even order it. So, can you talk about some of the issues that you run into with that as an ATP and how you get around that?
Oh, absolutely. That MoLift, it's a wonderful product. I got introduced to MoLift in 2010 when it first came out, and I knew the rep very well. It's a very important product because you can take it with you for transfer. It's super important. But you are right. The insurance, even though it is a covered item, will not. Well, they will pay for it. What the situation is, as the vendor to provide that piece of equipment to the end user, they're not going to make any money because it's a money thing. The MoLift costs more than what the insurance is going to pay for it. So that's the reason they won't do it. The manufacturer is aware of this. I actually reached out to the MoLift manufacturer after we got off the phone, and he's going to look into trying to get me some type of information for you. Funding wise, I don't know if there can be additional documentation to support it. The thing is, when that lift comes out, it's got what they call a HICPIC code. It's coded as it meets the qualifications to meet a certain criteria to get a code to be able to be billed. Now, when they do that, they associate a reimbursement with it. So
Right.
even though it says, hey, this thing is X amount of dollars, we're only going to pay you a certain amount, and that's it. So if the DME vendors or the rehab vendors do put it out and they do bill it, there's a high possibility A, it's going to get denied, and second of all, if it does get paid, it's not going to cover the cost of the low lift, and that's the situation that we run into. Yes, man. Challenges. Unfortunately, sometimes the funding source dictates what we can provide. And it's sad, but it's true. Certain insurances, I can do a custom cushion. I can do a custom cushion for somebody who's a sacral setter, who's got a history of skin breakdown, someone who's got a posterior pelvic tilt, they've got obliquity, got some rotation going out the hips. For example, Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't reimburse very well for custom seating. Medicare does. Other insurances do. But then on top of that is the criteria. Because seeing that as a custom cushion, what is the criteria for you to qualify for one? So there's a
Right.
lot of moving factors on it. An attendant control. I mean, I got people that can go into a motorized wheelchair, but they fatigue throughout the day. Well, I could put an attendant control in the back and have the caregiver drive it. Sometimes the insurance will approve it, sometimes it won't. And unfortunately, the DME vendor or the rehab vendor has to let you know and sometimes sign what they call an advanced beneficiary notice, which means if it is denied, they can bill you for the piece of equipment. Titanium frames. Titanium frames are the best. I love them, but the insurance won't pay for a titanium frame for a custom manual wheelchair, an ultra lightweight wheelchair. They'll pay for an aluminum frame, but they won't pay
Yeah.
for titanium. Geez, man, there's so many cup holders. They won't pay for cup holders. Transfer handle. They won't pay for a transfer handle. Um, you know, and a backup cushion. They won't pay for it. Now, years ago, Texas Medicaid would purchase a motorized wheelchair for an end user, a patient, and they would also purchase a manual backup chair, manual wheelchair. They would buy both at the same time. And if you had if you had a step in your house and it didn't exceed 10 inches in height, they would purchase a ramp for you. So years ago, I would be able to do a motorized wheelchair, get you the motorized wheelchair, get you a backup manual wheelchair, and get you some ramps to get you into the home. Things have changed since then. Funding has changed.
Yep.
So we run into those challenges, but luckily for us, the company that I work with right now, I work with my processor in-house. She's really good. We'll get a referral. She'll do the research. She'll call the insurance. She'll ask as many questions as she possibly can to just try to find the maximum benefits we can get for the patient, and then she'll call them up. What we're running into right now, it's the beginning of the year, so people haven't met their deductible or out-of-pocket deductibles.
Right.
So there's that also. So there's a lot of moving factors that come into play, and unfortunately, sometimes it determines on the type of supplies and medical equipment that we can provide.
Well, I mean, it's just so ridiculous because,
Oh, I agree.
I mean, Medicaid covers this item. And what I'm being told from people in Medicaid here in Ohio is that they're not allowed to just dictate what they're going to order because simply because of the Medicaid reimbursement rate. So then I'm being told, well, these providers can lose their Medicaid, their contract with Medicaid. And I'm sitting here going, well, then over half of the DME providers in my company are fixing to lose their contract because they've all said the same thing. It's the Medicaid reimbursement rate is too low. I mean, I get it. So the MOLIF that I've looked at, I don't know if you've looked at the same, it's $4,000. So,
Mhm.
so let's say that, they ordered the MOLIF, and I'm just pulling this number out of my butt. They order the MOLIF, and the reimbursement rate that they get is $1,500. Well, I wouldn't order it then in my case either if I was a DME provider, because I'm losing over half, you know? So
You're right.
that.
You're 100% correct. That's the situation. We want to order it for you. We want to get you the equipment. But the thing I think also is the manufacturer who makes this equipment should know this also. So it's kind of on them as well. Is, why did you make something similar that is Medicaid friendly? Why don't manufacturers have a certain piece of equipment that is funding friendly? You know, Another option that is out there is the DME vendor or the rehab vendor can reach out to the manufacturer and say, "Hey, do you have a demo that we can buy at half the price or at a discounted price?" So they're not, maybe they can break even, or in some cases maybe a profit, but I don't know if they could put out that piece of equipment. That's a conversation. For example, when I have somebody who's got real low funding and they really need something custom, I'll reach out to Quantum, Permobil, Motion Composites, just to name a few, and ask the rep, "Hey, do you have a demo or something you're trying to sell that I can purchase at a discounted price?" If I can acquire that equipment at a discounted price, that kind of helps with the reimbursement. I'm just
Yeah,
trying, you know, I ain't gonna lie to you. Most companies, the rehab companies, they have a 40% gross profit margin that they're gonna go by. If
right.
anything falls below 40%, they don't want to do it. It's a numbers game, man, and it's unfortunate, like I said before, that funding dictates what you can get.
Well, and I understand too that it's a business at the end of the day, and
You
you
know,
have to make a profit. I understand that. But I said last week in the episode, if you're going into business with state and federal governments expecting to make a fair profit, that's almost laughable.
right? Yeah,
it,
true.
it's the federal and state government. These governments don't know how to uh, save money. They know how to waste money. They know how to save money so that they can waste it on something else. it's not a it's not a whole thing of, you know, and plus, I mean, if these companies are going to sign, they have to know that they're doing this for the most vulnerable populations who can't afford a $4,000 product straight out of
Agreed.
pocket. And so
Yeah, I'm with you.
when you sign up for something like that, I mean, it sounds unfair, but at the same time, expect that you're not going to make a windfall every time you order one of these products.
Yeah,
It's just not feasible. And the sad thing is Medicaid is not going to deny the product because it's a covered product. Um, if Medicaid could, in my case, then I could take it to my waiver program, and then they could, because waiver has to be the payer of last resort. And
right.
so, you know, but Medicaid's not going to deny it because it's a covered product. So then where do we go from here? And they say, well, oh, you talked about maybe getting a cheaper item or something. And Medicaid's thing is, well, you don't really need an electric one. That's a luxury.
Oh, yeah. It's unfortunate though. They'll pay for the least costly alternative. That's what they'll pay for. You
Yeah.
know.
So it's like, when did disability and luxury come in the same sentence?
Well said.
I
Well
just
said.
I just don't understand that. So Um, to give people an update, we are working on this to try to get. And I said to somebody the other day, Rico, I said, I'm not a brand whore. I don't have to have these specific Mo lift, but it does have to be electric and it does have to be something that's broken down. And to be honest with you, this was the lift that came recommended by a therapist here in
Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio. And she said, this is the best one that you're going to be able to get. And it's lightweight and it's perfect and all this type of stuff. And so now I've just been going through this ever since. Um,
She's right. She's right. It's a great product. It's a very, very good product.
and I think it would be something that would last me, and people are like, if you're sitting out there saying, well, why doesn't somebody just buy this for him? Well, that would be a wonderful thing. But the problem is, well, then who's gonna do the maintenance on it?
Right.
I can't pay the maintenance on that out of my own pocket, you know. Um, and I've been told there's grants and things. Well, then again, is that grant going to pay for maintenance in the future?
That's true. That's a fair question, Nick.
So, I mean, it's just crazy. So, let's talk about. I mean, you say there's ways around everything. Kind of help people go through the loop de loops of the system if they're trying to get something paid for, and it's just crazy.
Uh, so some equipment require you can associate what they call a modifier, and the modifier will tell the funding source, the insurance, that it is a specific type of equipment, that is a custom equipment. It identifies it.
Okay.
Some companies don't know that. They're just billing something or asking for authorization without putting that modifier, telling the insurance is, hey, this isn't your traditional shower chair. This isn't your traditional hospital bed or et cetera. This is something custom. So that modifier will flag it and identify it and will kick it to a different type of reimbursement. That's one thing that we make sure your modifiers are being billed correctly. Appeals, getting on the phone, if something gets denied, request, you should receive in the mail the reason why it was denied. In some cases, it's documentation related that we can go back and we can appeal and fix.
Yeah.
I strongly encourage, just don't take no for an answer. Ask why it
Yeah.
got denied. Get on the phone, call the insurance yourself. Be an advocate. Like something that we preach on the show is to be an advocate for yourself. If you
Yeah.
have a request for a custom, let's say a wheelchair, let's say you're doing a wheelchair, right? Don't take your DME vendor's word. I'm saying this as as nice as possible. If they say they submitted something to authorization, call your insurance yourself and say, "Hey, is there something? Do you have a request for prior authorization under my identification number?" And if they say yes, ask them for a copy. What is being requested? You want to know what the DME vendor is trying to get authorized for you. Is it the wheelchair? Does it include the cushion? Does it include my seatbelt? Does it include my tray? Does it include my custom back? Does it include my transport brackets? Does it include my airless tires? See what they're billing for you. Not just saying, hey, he needs a wheelchair and that's it. And they come back and like, what happened to my cushion or what happened to this? It's unfortunate is we're this, it's unfortunate you all don't know. You're taking the word as, okay, he's going to take care of me or she's going to take care of me. And sometimes it's not the DME vendor's fault. They just don't have the education or they don't have the experience. That's why I strongly suggest you need to work with an experienced ATP, someone who's been in the industry for a while. If you and just check with the insurance. And then you'll get the feedback. So once you get the denial, look at it. Sometimes it's like, well, the wheelchair cushion was denied because there wasn't a documentation of uh, an obliquity or a pelvic tilt or history of pressure wounds. If you have pressure wounds, yes, you will qualify for a custom wheelchair. We don't want that sword open up again. If you need a pull to lock versus a push to lock brake, we could put that on there. If you need a custom seat belt, you need a chest strap, different things that you want to know what they're trying to get for you. Just don't say, oh, it got denied. You want to know why it got denied because you need a wheelchair. It's not like you're asking for something that isn't medically necessary. You are.
Yeah.
Being an advocate as far as your equipment. if they say, let's say you do an ultralight manual wheelchair and you want to get, they suggest motion composites, the A6 or the A7. I love that chair. Get on the phone with Motion Composites or ask your ATP or the company you're working for the local rep's phone number or email. Contact that local rep and say, "Hey, I want to know more about this wheelchair. I'm going to be getting one through such and such." Be
Yeah.
You can do that. Empower yourself. Or let's say look at wheelchairs. I mean, Google wheelchairs, and if you like a certain model that you think, "Hey, this is the one I really like," then I strongly encourage you to contact the manufacturer. They have got their 1-800 number and ask for the local rep's contact information. Contact that local rep, phone call or email saying, "Hey, my name is Rico. I like your wheelchair. I'd like some more information on it," and they'll reach out to you. If they don't reach out to you, then that tells you something right there.
Yeah.
Um,
That
they
they're
don't
not
wanna support you. Exactly. They will. I mean, I know a lot of the manufacturers. I was a manufacturer rep, and I've been in the industry for a while. They're good people. Their hearts are in the right place, and they'll
yeah.
contact you, and they'll say, "Hey," they'll talk to you, "I'm interested in this wheelchair. Do you have an ATP or a company that you work with in my area?" And they'll recommend somebody. And the reason they'll recommend that ATP or that company is because they work with them and they know their product. You want to work with an ATP that knows their product. You need to, because they know the warranties, they know the sizes, the features, if it's covered by insurance, it's not covered by insurance. It's
Right.
super, super important. And that's where it starts. That's where it starts because you'll be
Yeah.
told up front, "Hey, I like this feature. Is it covered?" They'll tell you, "Yeah, it's covered. It's got a code. It's one of your benefits." And then you go to your wheelchair company, and they're like, "Oh no, it's not covered." Really?
Or it is
So
covered and they won't pay for it because they
well,
won't.
if you
Yeah.
have a certain fee, I do it all the time. If I have something that I'm doing a wheelchair for somebody and it's an uncovered item, I will contact the rep and say, "Hey, I've got this end user that needs this. Can you get it to me at no charge?" And they will go to their company or their regional manager and say, "Hey, Rico over here needs this at no charge for one of his patients." 90% of the time, they're going to say, "Okay," or they'll give you a discount. So there are ways about it, but how do they say the squeaky wheel gets the oil? You
Yeah.
have to be an
The oil
advocate,
gets
baby.
greased. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be an advocate, man. You have to be an advocate. You can't take people's words and just say, "Okay, they're going to do the work, and I'll just wait for my wheelchair to show up." Another thing is, let's say you do the work, you get the authorization, you get the call, say your wheelchair's approved, they schedule delivery, they show up with a wheelchair or the piece of equipment. If you don't like it, don't sign for it. Send it back. I know you've been waiting. I know you've been waiting months for that wheelchair, but if you sign for it, it's yours for 5 years.
Yep.
So, I mean, if it's too wide, send it back. If it's too narrow, send it back. We had uh we had a guest on our show, Giziana, and she got a key chair, a manual wheelchair. I saw a picture of it. Totally wrong.
Yeah.
Totally, totally wrong for her. But she signed for it. So now I'm trying to help her trying to get that replaced. But be an advocate. Stand your ground. Say, "No, I don't like this. This doesn't feel good." And there's been plenty of times like where I've done a cushion or a seating system, and I think it's great in theory. Therapist thinks it's great in theory. We take it out there, we sit them on it, and the patient's like, "I don't like it. It doesn't feel right." Right then and there, I say, "Okay, let's take it off. I'll come back with a different cushion, and we'll try it until we get it right."
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
100%.
You have to do this because, you know, everybody's like, why do we have to fight so hard? Listen, everybody, there were people in the 90s that crawled up on their hands and knees to get the ADA accomplished. Okay. They crawled up the state steps to do this. Nothing in life, whether you have a disability or not, is going to come easy to you. But especially when you have a disability on top of just normal life, you're going to have to do this advocating. You're going to have to do the paperwork. You're going to have to become an advocate. You're going to have to become a legal eagle of sorts and know your rights. And if you don't,
100%.
you're screwed. you're screwed. I mean, you just are.
Yeah, you're right. 100%. You have to be an advocate for yourself. And that's the message that we push out on the podcast. Danny says it all the time. I say it much saying you have to be an advocate. Is it fair that you were injured? Is it fair you were born with a disability? No, it's not fair. And I feel bad that
Right.
people are put in that situation. But you got to suck it up and you have to fight
Yeah.
for yourself because no one else is going to fight for you.
No one
You
else
have
is going to fight as hard for you as you do.
exactly
I mean,
100%.
it's exhausting. And sometimes people without disabilities are like, I've done all I can through my job scope. And you're like, really? Is that it? And, it's even hard when you call these insurances. I'm just going to tell you now, when you call these insurance companies, be prepared to talk to 3 or 4 people who don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy. In Texas Medicaid, you should deal directly with TMHP, which was the Texas Medicaid Healthcare Partnership here in Texas.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, they moved to MCOs, managed care organizations, like your Molinas, your
Right.
Superiors, United Healthcares, right? So they hired people to determine prior authorization that knew nothing about our industry. I think they were in the restaurant industry before. They were some totally different industry. So
Yeah.
you expect somebody who knows nothing about wheelchair or medical equipment diagnosis, nothing about condition disability to approve a piece of equipment. So we would get denials and we'd be like, what do you mean it's denied? So yep, you have to get on the phone. You have to wait at least, pack a lunch. You're going to be on the phone at least an hour to
Yes.
2 hours. And,
Yes.
God forbid you get hung up on because you have to go back into the whole system. But yes, be a champion. Get phone numbers, get email addresses, get their regional managers' names, get the boss's name, get as much information, and have them with you. So when you're on the phone and you're not getting anywhere with somebody, okay, I need to go to somebody else, and you have to be an advocate. Unfortunately, they make it as difficult as possible so you can just give up.
Yeah. Because that's what they want you to do. It's funny that you brought, Texas Medicaid and all that in. I called the Medicaid consumer hotline here in Ohio, and I have straight fee for service Medicaid. And the reason why I have that, Rico, is because all these other managed care plans, they're horrible. They're
Mhm.
just, for my situation, and because I'm on a waiver and I receive over $500,000 worth of services from the state, a managed care plan wouldn't work for me. So, I called the Medicaid consumer hotline the other day. I was on the phone probably for over 40 minutes, and that's a decent amount of time
That's actually that's actually pretty good.
to get someone on the phone. But when I got someone on the phone, they were like, "Oh, you want a wheelchair?" I was like, "No, I want a this lift is covered." They're like, "Oh, you're calling for upper respiratory equipment?" No, I'm not calling for upper respiratory equipment. "Oh, you're calling for a lift." Well, what you need to do is you need to find another DME company that takes Medicaid. I said, "Ma'am, that's not my issue." And by the time I hung up, I was back to where I started. I was just like, it's so frustrating, but you have to keep going. You
Exactly.
you cannot give up on this because this is just you made 10 phone calls in one day and they all told you no. You're gonna get 10,000 no's before you get a yes, we can help you. And what really irritates me is these people, you finally get them and they're like, well, if you would have called me first, well, I had to make 10,000 other calls before I got to you. So sorry.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah. With the Medicare organizations, the way it works is Texas Medicaid hired these managed carriers to process their claims. So they get paid a certain percentage. So you'll get, for example, United Healthcare. I'm just throwing this out there.
right,
I'm just throwing this number out there. They'll say we'll pay you 60% of the Texas Medicaid fee schedule, or we'll pay you 70%. You're lucky, 70%, because that 30% is profit for them. They make money off of that. That's the way it works. So, the national companies have better contracts because they've got more buying volume,
Right.
versus your smaller companies that will say, "Hey, we'll only pay you 60% of the fee schedule." Forget that. We can't run off that business. We can't off that business model. We can't. And then you have other companies that'll get paid 80% of the fee schedule, and that's gold if you can find that. So when they went to the managed care, it just changed everything because it becomes a money thing.
A money ring, and realize Rico is talking about what specifically goes on in Texas, but this
Right.
all goes back to what goes on in your state. They call it everything different, but it's still the same merry-go-round. Nothing
Yep.
changes. I mean, rules and policy changes throughout the state, but you're still having to deal with the headache no matter where you go. So this is
Right.
why we're telling you you have to be an advocate. You have to,
100%.
fight for yourself because nobody's gonna fight for you like you.
Mhm.
Want to move on to something else because there's something else that you do. You go into nursing homes also,
Mhm.
Rico, and you do you do things with them. So talk about that a little bit about what
Sure.
you do with that.
Yeah, sure. But before we move on, I want to say, great job, Nicholas. Great job that the disability community has somebody like you out there that's trying to get this message out. And my hat's off to you. Daniel and I were super impressed with your show. So I just want to recognize you for the work you're doing. I mean, we need more kids like you. We need you. Yeah. So the skilled nursing facilities in Texas, they have a program. It's called the Applied Income Program. It's called Incurred Medical Expenses. So with this program, it pays for custom wheelchairs or dental. And so we go in there, and if they have certain criteria, they have this type of funding, we can do wheelchairs for them. Um, it's a different dynamic. We got an older community that's already aging out, so we really can't do a lot of accommodations really as far as their seating and positioning. And a
Right.
lot of them, they don't have the cognition really to safely use a motorized wheelchair. And I would say 80% of the nursing homes don't allow motorized wheelchairs in their facility. So we go
I
in
don't
there
think
and,
they do. No.
yeah, and we go in there, and my whole thing is just to try to give them a better quality of life. They're towards the end of their lives. I just want to give them the better quality. Um, you know, for example, if we have somebody who's a resident who develops a pressure wound, like a sacral, like a decubitus ulcer, they have to stay in bed till it heals. So you're in a nursing home, you're older, and then you're in bed for weeks, sometimes months.
Yeah.
That's not true. I mean, we can design a custom wheelchair cushion that we can put on there that will really offload any pressure as you're sitting on there. So we can get you out and get you into a wheelchair. I had a lady, she's a bigger lady. She measured at 32 inches at the hip. Now that's wide. That's like a love seat, right? And she hadn't been out of her hospital bed in 2 years.
Oh
So
my.
I went in, yeah, I went in there and I said, why don't we just get her in a motorized chair? And he's like, well, they don't make them that big. I go, yeah, they do. I can make them that big. So fast forward, she talked to the administrator. We got the green light. We submitted everything to the insurance, and we got her the motorized chair. We got it to her. We delivered it. She went outside. She started crying. She yeah, she hadn't felt the sun on her skin in years.
Oh
But
my gosh.
we asked the question, and she was an advocate, and she got on it, and she made it happen. Another same nursing home. This gentleman hadn't been out in over a year, right? So, same thing. We got him the motorized wheelchair, but he was taken off from the nursing home, going down to the convenience store, and getting a little too happy, and then driving back to the
Yes.
nursing home intoxicated, and so they took away the power chair from him. So I was, so I was like, man, let the guy live a little bit. So there's different stories on the whole point is like the whole point I'm trying to make is give him a shot, give him a chance. You
Yeah.
know, why not? Why does she have to be in bed 2 years? Why does he have to be in bed? I don't understand. And it's a lack of education. It's a lack of urgency. Within a skilled nursing facility, I'm doing more um, advocacy for them, just to get them out. I mean, if Nick, if you were to see some of the wheelchairs that some of these people are putting out, I had somebody that was over 6 foot he was just sliding out of the chair.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And one of the biggest things that we have to address is the risk of falls, people falling out of their wheelchairs
Sure.
when they try. So yeah, skilled nursing facilities it's a market that I go into, and I'm just trying to give them the best quality of life, and just give them a shot, give
Well,
them a shot.
that's the most irritating thing about this whole thing is because you're saying skilled nursing facility.
Right.
It, and the first word of their facility is skilled. So why are these people just being left to be in bed and just, rot away to nothing? You're a skilled nursing facility for a reason. Figure it out. I mean, get these people up, get them active, get them doing things. And I know nursing homes get a bad rap because I would say about 60% of them are just terrible. And I wouldn't want to put my family member in one, much less I wouldn't want to be in one. I mean, I grew up with the nursing home being a real life boogeyman for me.
Mm.
If I
Well,
was
that's
to,
true.
yeah,
That is true, Nick. That is true.
it,
Um, yeah,
it's terrible.
yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we get sometimes. Well, when I get, let's say I work with a local rehab hospital, so what I work a lot with are just your complex, well, your rehab inpatient hospitals. Somebody who's injured that comes into the rehab facility and then they get discharged home. That is something else. If the family does not have the ability to care for the disabled or injured loved one, they'll go to a nursing home. And what the idea is, it's going to be for a certain amount. It's like 30 days, right?
Yeah,
But more often than not, they wind up going long term and they wind up becoming a resident. So you are talking about a real fear. You are.
yeah. I mean, for me, when I was growing up, that was my dad would always say specifically to my brothers who were able-bodied, if you don't like my rules wherever we were living at the time, I'll throw your stuff out on Austin Avenue or wherever else. And then for me, if I wasn't grateful enough, because people with disabilities are just expected to be grateful and take the crumbs that we get. If I wasn't grateful enough, it was, I could always put you in a nursing home, or maybe I'll just take you to the nursing home and drop you off. And so for me, that's always been a scare factor because I've heard nothing but bad things about nursing homes. I've heard nothing about horror stories. I'm scared to even go into one because of what I might see or smell or, deal with anything. And it's just, I don't know how you do it, but these people in these skilled nursing facilities, be a skilled nursing facility and get these people out. You said something interesting. So a lot of nursing homes don't allow power wheelchairs. Why is that?
Safety, you know, residents running over other residents, injuries. That's the main thing. But there, it's all education. And I've been able to talk to several nursing homes and talk to like the one I mentioned to you, for them to allow power. And the way I've done that is like I designed the wheelchairs to have an emergency stop button on the very back of the chair, right? So if they're going somewhere within the nursing home, the CNA, the nurse can just stop them and just turn it off. I also don't do reverse. I take reverse away on the motorized wheelchair because you have no reason to be going backwards if you can't see where you're going, when you can just turn around in the motorized chair and go where you got to go. I've also written a program
That
that I upload to the power chair that is what I call nursing home safe, which means it's a slow speed. I put sensors on the system to where you're going to bump into a wall. You're going to bump into somebody, the sensor will go off and it'll shut the chair down. Different parameters that I've written for programming for people in power chairs. And that's what I mean by give them a shot. Give me a shot to show you what I can do with a motorized chair. Just don't say, no, we're not going to do it because past experiences, yes, I get it. But just let me show you what I can do. And more often than not, they become a safe driver with training and they get the motorized chair.
Right. And why can't we do like here in Ohio, we have a place at the wheelchair clinic where they do driving school. You
There
know,
you go.
why
Hmm.
why can't they do that? I mean, unless these people have like severe dementia and they're, combative and they're not able to understand what's going on. But you've got people going into nursing homes these days that don't really need to be there, and they're just there because their family doesn't want to
Yeah.
deal with the stress. I mean, let's just call a thing a thing.
Yeah, it
And
is. You're right.
so why can't we have, driving schools at these facilities to teach, this is how you do it. I mean, yeah, I mean, put my parents used to put plexiglass around the house because
Mhm.
of, if I would run into a wall. I mean, you know, these nursing homes get all this money. Why not make it wheelchair, power wheelchair safe? Put plexiglass on the walls. Do something so that they can have some freedom. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Agreed. And you'll come back and say, well, it's a lot, it's a liability. We're going to get in trouble. I go, I'm signing off as the ATP saying that this end user is a safe driver. So I'm in the same boat as you. So
Yeah.
if I don't think this resident is a safe driver, I'm not going to sign off on it, you know? So it's not like it's a team effort. But like I said before, like I say, just give me an opportunity, just give me a shot. And more often than not, I mean, if I get somebody who has a behavioral issue, then no, we're not going to get you a power chair. But if they have the ability and I can work with them, if they have limitations, I can work with your limitations. Let me compensate your limitations just to get you. Because all I have to do is within the nursing home, you don't have to be driving down the street or doing ADLs like feeding yourself or grooming yourself, doing stuff within the power chair. You just have to get out of your room, go to the activities, go to the dining hall, go outside for hang out, get some sunlight, go back in. It's not like you're going to be it. The power chair is just to assist you to have a life within a skilled nursing facility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not fair that the skilled nursing facility is taking that away from them and not even giving them an option. But like I said, this is where I come in as an advocate for people with disabilities and I speak up for them. And I say, yes, it can be done. Let me go to the shop. Let me call Jesse, my tech. We'll load up a power chair. We'll bring it over here. We'll sit him in it and we'll drive it. That's what I do. If anybody, we do a chair for a motorized chair, we do a trial. I bring it, we program it, sit them in it, and we let them drive. And when they drive the nursing home, I'm putting carts in front of them. They'll go around the cart, go into the dining room, go by the nurse's station, go into your room, go into your bathroom, come out. So they do the whole navigation, they do the whole driving test, and I'm like, you see, they're a safe, functional driver. I'm gonna sign off. So it's just being an advocate, man. Just
Hey,
giving people the opportunity just to have a shot at a good quality life.
and it's not like the nursing home is not set up for wheelchairs. Their doors are widened enough already.
Exactly. 100%.
So it's not like, unless, and like you said, you're not going to sign off on it if you know that they're going to be banging into walls on purpose and all that type of stuff. So I don't understand. What did you say? 80% of nursing homes don't allow it?
Yeah, in my territory.
Gosh,
Mhm.
that's crazy. That needs to change. I want to hear from you guys to see if that's, in other states to see if it's like that. I've never Wow, that's crazy. Well, let's talk about your podcast, the Wheelchair Roundtable podcast, because you're a co-host with
Yep.
Danny Flores, who's going to be on my podcast very soon. I hope. I
Yeah.
reached out to him. He didn't reach out back. You're going to have to get after him for that.
I'll I'll get on him.
Like,
He's such a busy guy, but he said yes, so it's just a matter of him getting in touch
yeah,
with him. But
yeah.
I'll make sure he gets with you.
I love talking with Dan. So why don't you tell me why the wheelchair roundtable was started? I know you said it's an emotional story, so don't
Yeah,
about
it's
getting emotional.
hopefully, hopefully I can keep it together. But um, so last year I was going through a very difficult time. I'm a survivor of a narcissistic abuse dynamic. It was very difficult for me. And during that time, I asked God, I go, I just want to do something amazing. I go, I want to do something amazing. I want I want to be remembered. And the next day, I'm not kidding you. I started waking up at 4 in the morning out of nowhere with nothing to do. And then that's when everything started. I started getting up. I decided, well, let me just start walking just to clear my mind. So I was walking around the neighborhood, just clearing my mind. And that walking just led into running and it led into just overcoming things. I'm like, man, there has to be something more to this. And at that time I started, um, I'm also one of the assistant coaches for the Rio Grande Valley Vipers wheelchair basketball team. And I started seeing these people, you know, overcoming and just playing and just giving it all they had and just getting better. And then we had a scrimmage against the Corpus Christi Rims. They're our sisters. They help us out as far as sister team.
Yeah.
And just see the families come with signs, with balloons, with, just such support and love. And then seeing these athletes on their wheelchairs. And I'm like, when's the last time the family cheered for them? When was the last time somebody in a wheelchair was cheered for?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing this beautiful moment. I'm like, how do we get this out? How? So the next week, I used to work with another ATP. His name's Roland Reyes, and shout out to Roland. We started talking about seat depth. I think the longer the seat depth, the more pressure I can relieve off on a wheelchair cushion. He thinks the shorter. So we had this whole conversation about wheelchair cushions, and I'm thinking to myself, somebody needs to hear this too. So, I'm a big podcast guy. I love listening to podcasts, and I'm there at wheelchair basketball practice, and I'm just looking at them, and it's just in my head, podcast. Podcast came into my mind, and
Yeah.
then it wouldn't leave. It just kept podcast. Like, well, how am I going to do that? Well, I just asked. I got Chat GPT, typed it in there, say, hey, I want to start a podcast, and press enter, and it told me everything how to do it, where to get the hardware, the hosting site. I got Riverside for my podcast stuff.
Right.
It just took off. And Roland and I did our first episode together, and it just flowed. And we put it out there, and people started hitting. And then the next episode we had was Danny, who's the quad father. He came on, and he told his story. And at that time, Roland and I were recording in my dining room, where I used to have my house, and we had Danny on a cell phone coming in. And then it just started rolling. It just started rolling one episode, and it just started taking off. And then Danny reached out to one of his friends who owns one of the Marriotts here, and they gave us the fifth floor. They gave us a studio to use, so that took off. And then
Wow.
I, and
Amazing.
then and just this connection with God. It's all God. I can see God's fingerprints all over this. That He's given me this opportunity just to be an advocate, a big advocate. And I just reached out to people on social media. I changed my social media over I just started liking and requesting people in wheelchairs as my friends. And if you look at my social media, it's like 80% of my friends are either clinicians or wheelchair users, or more like 90%. And I would just send a direct message, hey, are you interested in coming on? And sure enough, so it just started flowing. It just
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
And I'm just taken back. I am just taken back that that everything is happening. I'm telling you, Nick. it's just God that just gives me a message, and I've explained it this way. I say I guess it's an emotion. I feel an emotion. Within that emotion, I have a message. I have a direction, and I don't know when it comes. It just comes to me, and it just happens on its own. So, we're 5 months into the Wheelchair Roundtable. We have season two. We've got, I don't know, I think close to 20 some episodes on there. I checked this morning, we're over 2,100 downloads, and we're growing. Man, we're growing. Yeah, we got listeners throughout the United States. Have a friend of mine who was in the Brazilian basketball team, the Olympic team. So we have people in Brazil listening to us, Europe, Australia, Europe. It's big, man. It's just taking off on its own, and
That's
we don't know,
amazing.
and we don't know it. I told Danny, we don't know this. We don't know who we're reaching. We don't know who we're talking. We don't know the message we're getting out there. We don't get any type of feedback. We have no idea. And I told Danny that's the way it should be. We shouldn't look for a pat on the back for what we're doing. What we're doing is we're just doing for others what they cannot do for themselves. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's just a bit it's so humbling that that God gave me this opportunity just to be a service, man, and just to help out. And on a personal level, compared to where I first started, you know, in a very, very bad spot, man.
Yeah.
Very bad spot. And then to come to fruition today, I ran a 10K this morning, man. I ran 6.1 miles in less than an hour. And this is the same guy that was walking around the neighborhood at 4 in the morning just trying to clear his head and just trying to find peace and just trying to feel good about himself. Because
Yeah.
at a certain point in my life, I had someone in my life who just had 100% purpose just to make me feel so insignificant so she could have control of me.
Yeah. That's
So
awful.
it is, but I didn't know any better at the time. There was just so much fear and so much threats and so much humiliation in it. I didn't know any better. But when I did reach out and I had that moment with God that I wanted to do something special, let me feel good about myself. Little did I know he would say, "Oh yeah, I got something for you," and that's the podcast.
I tell people all the time, and it's on my website too. I only do everything. The only reason I'm able to do everything that I do is with the breath of God on my back.
Amen.
That's it. And not a lot of my stuff is geared towards Christians, but people are gonna know. No matter if you follow me on TikTok or my Facebook page or my podcast, I'm a Christian, and everything that I've done to do this, the podcast, because like you, the podcast for me came out of desperation. I've been told I'm unemployable in 2 states and 3 different counties, and so it's what do I do now? And it's carving my own path. And just to hear people say to me, hey, I saw this episode, or even if it's just I enjoyed your I enjoy your new podcast art, or to know that I'm making a difference some way, somehow, is really why I keep doing this. And we're over 80 episodes on. So Rico,
Congratulations.
go ahead. Say what?
Congratulations. Yeah, also, lately our episodes have now that it's just Daniel and myself. Roland was with us for a while, but he retired, so he went did his own thing. So now it's just Danny and I, but it's gotten better with just Daniel and myself. And lately we've had this conversation about, higher power, something out there, the universe. And so for some people it's a very touchy subject. It's a very touchy subject. And for me, I'm just going to share this with anybody. If there is a God, or if there is something bigger than me, um, I can prove it to you. And this is how I'm going to prove it to you. I'm just going to share what was shared with me is that all of us have 1% of God living in us, whether it be you call him Jesus or you call him, Buddha, you call him whatever, you have that 1% in you. And that 1% is going to be your lungs. It's going to be your heart. It's going to be your eyes. It's going to be your
Yeah.
skin, your digestive system. Think about it. Do you control your heart? Can you make your heart stop? Nope.
Nope.
If you held your breath, what happens? You pass out and you wake up gasping for air.
Yeah.
That's not in you. Just doing for you what you can't do for yourself. For life to exist on this planet, everything has to line up correctly. The right degree of the planet, the right temperature, all the right elements. It has to line up perfectly for us just to have a chance to exist. The idea there's somebody or something bigger than me is so reassuring because then I don't have to rely on myself anymore. And the idea of the most powerful thing up there that we can't see to comprehend or understand is on my side and wants nothing but the best for me.
Yeah.
I'm all about that, man. I'm
It's
all about that.
amazing. It's amazing.
So that's what I like to share. So I mean, if you're having a hard time or it's a very touchy subject for you, I get it. I understand. But
Yeah.
you're not listening to this message by mistake.
Yeah. And people, I say this all the time, and people say, "Oh, well, that's religion." No, religion is one of the most, in my point of view, religion is one of the most terrible things. It's not about religion. It's about a relationship with you and the person who created you. It's
Well
not
said.
about whether you're a Buddhist. It's not about whether you're a Catholic. It's whether or not you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and whether you believe what he did for you on the cross is real or not. That's what it's about at the end of the day. I'm sorry, we decided to take you to church, but I'm not sorry.
No.
So,
Yeah. You're hearing this for a reason.
yeah, you are. And Rico, I just appreciate you so much coming on and breaking down all the loops and everything else. And what are some final words that you can say to advocates out there who are maybe sick of going through the red tape?
Be an advocate. Expect challenges, but do not give up. Expect challenges, but do not give up. That is the message. Be prepared to fight like the song says, fight for your rights. You have to, do what needs to get done. Get on the phone call. Get on the phone, make phone calls, send emails. Just, get with your insurance. Find out why. Don't just accept no as the final answer. Ask why was it denied. Give me the reason why it was denied. And when you find out what the reason is, focus on that. Attack that. Was it documentation? Was it the coding was wrong? Was it a modifier was left off? Do I need to get my therapist to write a letter of medical necessity? Do I need to pay my doctor a visit and have him write up a letter? Do I have to get my doctor on the phone with the insurance for a peer to peer? Keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. It will
Yeah.
get approved if you keep on pushing. Do not take no. And if the company you're working with doesn't want to work with you, fire them and hire and go to somebody else. The other thing is if you have a piece of equipment that's being delivered and it does not fit you, and it's not to your needs, do not sign for it. I know you've been waiting for that equipment for
Yeah.
months. Please don't sign for it because once you put your signature on that date, that locks you into 5 years and it gives the wheelchair or the DME company something to stand on to where they can't replace it. That's what
Yeah.
it is. Other thing I really encourage you to do is if you have a product you like a wheelchair or cushion or stand or anything, get in touch with a manufacturer. Start asking them questions. Where can I get this? Who do you recommend for me to work with? Don't if you don't know where to find that piece of equipment, well, the manufacturer has reps and they'll direct you. And trust me,
Yeah.
when you start working with a manufacturer rep, there's good people. They're going to be an advocate for you. Be an
Yeah.
advocate. So if you think about it, how am I going to be an advocate? Create yourself an army. And how? You get your therapist involved. You get your ATP involved. You get your insurance involved. You get your doctor involved. You get so many people involved as part of your team, and you use that team to attack. You're not alone. You're not alone, and
Yeah.
we're here to help you out for sure. Be an advocate.
And often it's going to seem like you are alone and you're going to feel like you are, but you like Rico said and has kept saying throughout this episode this morning is you cannot give up. That's what they want you to do, because then these companies don't have to do the extra legwork and spend the money that they're supposed to spend on you anyway. And but don't do it. And if you have to get involved, get whoever you can involved. Uh, you say, I don't want a target on my back. Guess what? You're going to have a target on my back. I can't tell you how many targets I have on my back because I'm
Yep.
such a loudmouth. That's why my mantra is speak up, speak out, and speak loud, because you have to.
I love it. Another thing also is if you are listening to this episode, you have a question about medical equipment thing, reach out to me.
Yeah.
Just shoot me an email. I think it'll be in the notes or something.
Yeah.
But it's my name. I'll tell you right now. It's Ricardo Segovia Jr. at gmail.com. It's my name. So if you're listening to this and you have a question or you want some more information, shoot me an email or get with Nick and he'll get in touch with me.
Yeah, we'll have everything. We'll have Rico and Danny's podcast in the show notes. We'll have his email in the show notes, because if you have someone on your side living this life with you and not just watching you live it, not just watching you in pain. I hate people who say, oh, I wish I could go through this with you, or I wish there was something I can do. There is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be an advocate for your family member. Get on the phone. Don't let them take no for an answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, Nick, and I said this before, if I am an employer or if I'm just in general, if I see somebody who's a wheelchair user who is living life versus somebody who is not a wheelchair user, give me the wheelchair user because they've overcome some obstacles and they did not settle. They are an advocate for themselves. They're working, they're driving, they're doing what they can. Now, some disabilities you have limitations, but they're doing something, you know?
Yeah.
They didn't say no. Get to know those people. Also, like the social media support groups, get on there, post, read, be an advocate, you know? And we had Mike Kent, he's on our episode. He has empowering disability. He's part of a group that he has on social media and he talks about it, you know? Be an advocate.
Yeah.
Don't be the one that sits on the couch or don't be the one that just gives up because life it keeps on going. It doesn't stop. So you might as well jump in and make a name for yourself because you don't know who's watching. You don't know who you're going to inspire. You
Yep.
don't know you're going to inspire the what you're going to teach the wheelchair companies. Like, wow, it can be done. And then by you doing that, it opens up the door to everybody else.
And
We all we all have the opportunity to make a difference. We just have to have the desire and the belief in ourselves that we can do it.
yeah, and I want to
Regardless.
say too,
Go for it.
get out of this. I don't want to be inspiration born. Get out of that, because the moment you say you don't want to inspire, well, they're just happy that I'm doing everyday things. We were told we couldn't do everyday things. That's
Mhm.
why it's inspiring to people. Let people be inspired by your story. Inspire people to do better.
Absolutely.
I say this all the time. If I inspire people and I don't have to take my clothes off, shit. I mean, and I
What?
think I'm a pretty sexy guy, but
Be an inspiration. Why not?
yeah,
Why not? Why not you? Why not you? If somebody's told you you can't do it, they lied to you. Don't buy into the lies that people tell you because they're doing it for themselves.
right.
If they don't believe in themselves, that's their business. Your business is to believe in yourself and to make an effort. Just make an effort. Give yourself a shot, man. You have to give yourself a shot first before anybody else will. And it's unfortunate, man, but that's the way it is in the disability community, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's it's a challenge, and it's not fair, like I've said before, but it makes for a hell of a comeback story if you're able to pull it off, and you will, because you won't be alone. You will get connected with the right people. You'll get connected with me. You'll get connected with Nick, and then we'll connect you to the people that we know. And so just be inspired, please. Give yourself a shot. You're worth it. And then you never know who's looking at you. You never know who you're going to inspire. And you're right, man. Be an inspiration. Be an inspiration. Be the exception to the rule. Be the one that is the champion. Be somebody. You're not defined by your disability. That's not who you are. That's what
Yeah.
you're dealing with. You know, and it's easy for me to say that being able-bodied and stuff like that, but I can say it because I've seen it. I
Yeah.
see it. I see it all the time, man. And it's such an inspiration for me. Such an inspiration that it keeps me going. Um, And I got to meet you, Nick, and now we're friends. You have my cell number, so we're going to be connected for the rest of our lives. So we
Yeah,
meet people.
we are. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Rico. It's been
Course.
awesome. And we just kind of, this is what my podcast is. It's a honest conversation, and it's teaching people and everything. You guys go check out his podcast, The Wheelchair Roundtable. I was just on it. The episode's out now. I'm gonna force myself to listen to it. I promise.
It's good, Nick. It is one of the best we have done. It is real talk. It's three friends having a conversation. It's not scripted. We talk from, uh, employers not hiring people with disabilities. We talk about dating. We talk about schools. We talk about everything, man. It's a great conversation.
Yeah, it really is. So you guys check that out. And if you want to get in contact with me or Rico, you know how to do that. We'll put Rico's information in the show notes, and you can visit my website at nickspeaksofficial.com. And this is the Nick Speaks podcast, dedicated to the disabled community, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. Thanks again to my guest, Rico, for being here, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Nick Speaks podcast, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for the disabled community. If today's conversation resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a new episode. You can find Nick across all platforms by visiting his link tree in the show notes. And please leave a comment to join the conversation. Until next time, keep speaking up, keep speaking out, and keep speaking loud.